Last season was dramatic. What we're uncovering now rewrites everything. This is the kind of information that doesn't just end a marriage, it ends a we saw on TV was the toned-down version. If those late-night rants insiders describe are true, then the emotional environment at home was far more volatile than cameras ever revealed. Now to the spiritual divorce conversation, a massive turning point. In their faith, legal divorce is paperwork. But a spiritual release? That's eternal. The claim that Janelle pursued a spiritual release, and that it was granted, is a devastating blow to Kody's religious pride. It tears apart his entire idea of a celestial family. If he can't hold his family together in this life, then by their theology, he can't claim them in the next. It strikes directly at the heart of the show's original mission. It's no longer about building a forever family. It's about escaping one. So, what happens to the franchise now? That's the billion-dollar question. Industry chatter suggests the network is facing a major crossroad. Do they keep filming a monogamous couple living in a mansion, a setup that contradicts the show's entire title, or do they shift into a spin-off? The ratings make the answer obvious. Viewers are locked in for the aftermath arc. Christine's wedding, Janelle's independence, and Mary reinventing herself through the B&B. The freedom storyline is outperforming the misery storyline by a mile. There's even a theory circulating that Kody may actually be pushed out of his own show. Imagine a full season centered on the women rebuilding their lives, with Kody only appearing as a background figure, or worse, edited as the antagonist. The irony would be brutal. The man who chased control and spotlight could end up cut from the story he built. And then comes the David factor. Christine's new husband is everything Kody insisted could never exist. He loves Christine for who she is, not for what she contributes to a system. He openly embraces her kids. And that contrast is deeply embarrassing for Kody. Insiders say that jealousy, not heartbreak, is the root of his bitterness. He didn't just lose a wife. He was replaced by someone who shows the role was never as hard as he made it seem. As the evidence builds, recordings, financial inconsistencies, and statements from the adult kids, one conclusion becomes unavoidable. This was never a love story. It was never lighthearted reality TV. This is a tragedy of ego. A case study in what happens when narcissism meets opportunity. We're going to keep digging. We're going to keep breaking down every clip, every interview, every document, because the truth is pouring out now, washing away decades of excuses and half-truths. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button. It really helps the channel. And tell me in the comments, should the show continue with Kody and Robin, or is it time for the sister wives to take the spotlight without him? I want to hear your theories. Here's how it works. The down payments came from the sale of the Vegas homes. That was collective family money. But as the wives left, determining who owned which lot turned into a legal maze. The speculation is that Kody's hesitation to build wasn't simple procrastination. It was strategic stalling. If the land remains undeveloped, its value stays tied to raw acreage. But if he pressures the wives into selling their portions back, it's a classic real estate squeeze. And according to multiple reports, Janelle, who has always been sharp with numbers, saw this pattern forming long before the rest of us did. That's why her exit wasn't just emotional. It was strategic. She got out before her share of the assets could be absorbed into what had essentially shifted from the Brown family structure to the Kody and Robin structure. This brings us straight to the LLC issue. When the family created their entertainment LLC for the show, the plan on paper was simple. Everyone was an equal partner. But insiders claim the operating agreement may include clauses about active participation, which raises the million-dollar question. If a wife leaves the spiritual marriage, does she lose her standing in the business entity? This is the legal battlefield nobody sees on camera. If Christine or Mary are entitled to residuals from past seasons, or if the contributions they made to the family pot were structured more like loans than gifts, then Kody could find himself facing a forensic accounting audit that would turn his world upside down. And then there's the shift in the fandom. For years, a portion of the audience defended Kody as an overwhelmed man trying to juggle 4 households. That defense has vanished.
Why?
Because the mask slip moments have become impossible to ignore. Take the knife in the kidney speech. That wasn't scripted drama. That was raw, uncontrolled anger. Psychologists who follow the show point out that Kody displays classic traits of a collapsed narcissist. When validation dries up, when Christine walks away, when Janelle disengages, the narcissist doesn't self-reflect. They lash out. They reframe the past. And that brings us to what many call the time traveler theory. Listen closely to Kody's recent interviews. He is now, but the kids' social media paints the opposite picture. They're constantly celebrating with Christine and Janelle, laughing, traveling, thriving. If there was an alienation campaign, it clearly didn't work. The kids aren't avoiding their mothers. They're avoiding him. The theory among insiders is brutally simple. The kids didn't need anyone to turn them against their father. They just needed to rewatch the show. The episodes became the evidence. Imagine being in your 20s and watching national television footage of your dad forgetting your birthday or openly favoring another child. The archives are the receipts. Now, let's talk about the next chapter. The rebrand. Whispers inside the industry suggest TLC knows the current format has run its course. You can't have sister wives without sister wives. So, what's the new angle? Life after polygamy. That's where the money is. If Kody keeps using his screen time to attack the audience and his former family, the ratings will continue to slide. Viewers aren't asking for aggression. They want accountability. And this is where the Robin intervention theory becomes impossible to ignore. Will we eventually see? We are watching the collapse of a patriarchal system in real time. Kody believed he could control the narrative, the women, and the money forever, but he miscalculated on all 3. We will keep monitoring the LLC filings and the Coyote Pass property records. The moment a deed changes hands or a new filing appears, you'll hear it here first. If you're as invested in this unraveling as I am, make sure you subscribe. Drop a comment. Do you think Robin will finally leave Kody when the money runs out, or is she staying till the end? Let's get a debate going. Now, we need to talk about the engine that actually funded this lifestyle, because it wasn't just the TLC paycheck. It was the MLM empire. For years, Mary, Christine, and Janelle were deeply involved in LuLaRoe, Plexus, and multiple online sales ventures. Insiders say this is where the real power struggle lived. The wives were the ones with the downlines and the actual cash flow. Kody hated that. He wanted to be the provider, but in reality, they were paying the bills. This created the financial resentment trap. The more financially independent the wives became, the less they relied on him, and the more threatened he felt. With that context, the move from Las Vegas to Flagstaff becomes even more suspicious. Why leave 4 paid-down homes in a circle? Why leave stability? The theory says the move was strategically engineered to scatter the wives, drain their savings, and put everyone back into financial chaos, an environment where Kody can play the manager. But it backfired. It wiped out the family pot and exposed the marriage fractures. And inside that chaos came the most infamous line of the entire season. What does the nanny do? It wasn't pettiness. It was a financial question. If Kody spends all his time at Robin's house and Robin has a nanny and Robin isn't working a traditional job, this is the karma watch. Now we have to address the Coyote Pass utilities, the biggest smoking gun. Years later, there's still no full infrastructure. Why? Because infrastructure requires money. And if the money was spent elsewhere, the mansion, the household costs at Robin's, then there was nothing left to build on the land. Coyote Pass has become a monument to broken promises. The most painful consequence is the grandchild gap. The family is growing, weddings, babies, celebrations, and Kody isn't in the photos. He is watching his legacy through a screen like everyone else. There is one nuclear option left. The memoir. Publishing houses are making huge offers to the OG wives. A financial expose by Janelle. A liberation memoir by Christine. Or the most dangerous of all, a book by the adult children titled Growing Up Brown. If any of these books are signed, NDAs won't matter. Kody will have zero control over the narrative. We are entering the post-Kody era. The viewers have chosen. They're here to see the rebuild, to watch the women reclaim their power, dollar by dollar. We'll be here for every update. When the next document drops, we'll break it down. When the next leak